It's great to be here. I'm delighted that each of you are able to come today, and a special welcome to Associate Minister Rob Flack, Minister Neil Lumsden, our Mayor, Andrew Horwath, and our local councillor, Councilor Nan. So thank you for being here today. My name is Jeff Nevin. I'm the CEO of Indwell, and Melanie, come on in here. My colleague and friend, Melanie McCauley, is the Executive Director of Sacagawea Nonprofit Housing for, it says here, 30 years. So how's that possible?
31.
31. How's that possible when you have to be at least 31 years old to acknowledge that?
Pushing for points?
We're here today in this beautiful space, and we acknowledge that the city of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, the Neutral, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabeg to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase of 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. For 50 years, Indwell has been providing supportive, affordable housing that transforms lives. Every door we open together is a solution to homelessness. Right now, we're standing in the courtyard of the Oaks, surrounded by 108 supportive, affordable housing units, homes. We have behind me here Heartwood Apartments with 52 apartments, Ada Ning over here with 13 apartments, and the Dairy Lofts with 43 apartments right here. And that's what we're celebrating today. And behind you there to the south, we hope to break ground this year yet on Acorn Flats, which will be the future home of 23 families. Before we proceed, I'd like to invite Melanie to share a short greeting.
Ani Bozu, Melanie Dijnakas, Hamilton, Dijiba, Mississaugas of the Credit Nudum. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Melanie. And I would like to introduce Associate Minister Rob Flack.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and great to be here in Hamilton. Many, many years ago, Mayor, I lived in this city. When I first got out of the University of Guelph and started a career in agribusiness, I first lived in Hamilton. So it's great to be home, sort of. So thank you for being here, one and all. The Oaks, the Dairy Lofts, I get a kick out of it because as I was talking to Jeff, I look up here. You know what used to stick their head out of those windows many, many years ago? Horses. Neil says his teammates. But my grandfather owned a dairy many, great-grandfather did, and I remember a barn as such when he ran his dairy. Great to be here with the Mayor, Councillor, my colleague Minister Lumsden, and the folks from Indwell. I see Graham back there as well. You guys do such fantastic work, and as I travel the province, I think I got myself in trouble, Jeff, because I tell everyone what great work Indwell does, and everyone says, well, how do I get a hold of him? So I've been sharing your number. I'm not so sure he totally appreciates it because he's getting calls and it's capacity, right, Graham? And but I know this is an important part of Hamilton's identity, Indwell. You've done an amazing job, and in my riding in Elgin, Middlesex, London, we just opened a wonderful project, the station last year in St. Thomas, that's had wonderful results, so congratulations and well done. You know, the population of this province has more than doubled, Neil, since you and I were in high school. That's a while ago, but it's still doubled. We're close to 15.5 million people. And when we say that, we've grown exponentially. We don't have a housing crisis, folks. Housing isn't the problem. Supply is the problem. And no matter where you are in the housing continuum, whether it's affordable, deeply affordable, rent geared to income, whether it's attainable or whether it's market rent or market-based housing, we are in short supply. And our job as a government, we feel, is to create the environment for municipalities like Hamilton to get the job done and getting more shovels in the ground faster. Because everyone deserves a roof over their head. We don't believe housing is a privilege, it's a right in this province and in this country, and we aim to continue to try and solve this crisis. It's not a partisan issue. It is a pan-Ontario issue right across this province. We have to get this problem solved. We're pleased today, obviously, to not announce, but to recognize a $5 million investment at the Oaks Dairy Loft. Am I saying that right? The Royal Oaks Dairy Loft. And I'm hoping, we're recognizing a $5 million investment that went in here that's provided 43 units that is working. We're recognizing the success, and I hope in the not too distant future, Acorn Flats, am I saying that right? And Mayor, we talked before, that's got to get done, because it is important that we continue on this journey to get more homes built faster and more roofs over people's heads. So I will end with that and saying, well done, congratulations, and just conclude by saying, when I got this role, did I expect it? No, but now that I'm in it, the one thing that has impressed me most, and there's a lot, it's the work our not-for-profit sector does. I was aware of it in my previous life, but not as involved. But as I've been involved in this ministry, it is amazing the work not only Indwell does, but whether it's Habitat for Humanity, the Good Shepherd, I could go on and on and on. You folks do an amazing job, an important part of society, an important part of every community across this province, especially here in Hamilton. So well done, congratulations. I would now like to turn the podium over to Minister Neil Lumsden.
Nice job. I didn't use my notes. Okay, was that for Rob or for me? Okay. Let's clarify. Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to welcome everybody, and certainly it's a pleasure to be here for a lot of different reasons. And Mr. Flack talked about it, and the great work he is doing with Minister Calandra. It's work that needs to be done, has to be done. The team, because I will refer to the Indwell, is a team of people that do extraordinary work in a very difficult time. Every time I see them and talk to them, they have a smile and a very positive outlook. And the other side of that team is a little bit to my left here with the Mayor and the Councilor and ourselves working together to try to move the needle, to do the right thing, to do things well, not just to do them. And that's what Indwell has done so well. And I'm proud to be associated with them, and really impressed by the work and the impact that they make in our community of Hamilton. And I was going to get into very briefly why Mr. Flack had to move away from Hamilton, but that's a whole other story. The allocation of the $5 million is making an enormous impact on the 43 affordable units. And when I stand in between and look around, I'm impressed a little bit by the history of the buildings and what the history will be for those that are going to be here, and that history that you are helping create for people that might not have been there as an option beforehand. So when I talk about what we are doing, and Councilor Nan and I just had a very quick conversation, said it's about getting things done, and when we don't, there's a frustration to it, right? Because that's why we do what we do. So it's very impressive, the history. I love the buildings, I love what's being done, and it's just, when you get a chance and you're involved with people that can make a difference in such a positive way, it's uplifting. And a term used a long time ago in many of the things that I've done is, you talk about creating an updraft, and everyone knows what an updraft is. Well, you know what else an updraft does? It gets vertical and it brings people with them. And Indwell, and this is a massive updraft of making things better. In this residence, and when we're talking about, you talk about real estate and location, the location here is outstanding. And it really provides for those who have homes here access, because that's also really important. We all talk about it, we all know about it. And, anytime, again, coming back to the core of what this is about, of making a difference for people, I'm in, as our government is in, and the City of Hamilton and the councillors and we're in because of the work that Indwell does. So it's a privilege to be here. The work I know is continuing. It's at a high level, and it will continue to be, and we're going to be there with you. So thank you all. Yeah. Well, because of the sharp quip when I got up here, I almost forgot. But a friend and a supporter, the Mayor of Hamilton, Andrew Horwath.
Well, thank you, Minister Lumsden, for the warm welcome. I'm very pleased to be here, and I want to welcome Associate Minister Flack for being here with us as well. And it's really my pleasure to be here with all of you, including, of course, Jeff Nevin and Graham Cubitt and the rest of the folks that are here from Indwell, my colleague, Councilor Nan. We have our Housing Secretariat folks here, including Justin Lewis. Good to see you. We have people from my office. Happy to have you here with me as well, with all of us. Why? Because we all, I think, agree on one really clear fact, and that is affordable housing is needed in the city of Hamilton. And I can tell you that as mayor of this city, affordable housing is my priority. It's one of my top priorities. Why? Because the crisis is obvious and it's growing. And so we need housing, we need affordable housing, we need supportive housing, we need transitional housing, and we need it today. And so celebrating some of the accomplishments already is extremely important, and I'm grateful to the government for supporting Indwell in the project, well, this project particularly, but other projects as well. Let's just keep that going, I would say, because it is one of the most pressing issues that our city is facing. So to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in the province, formally thank you for the investments that you make in the city of Hamilton, including those through the Social Services Relief Fund, as well as the Building Faster Fund, where we were recently recognized when the Premier came to Hamilton for exceeding our 2023 provincial housing target, with 120% of the target achieved in 2023.
Always proud for that.
Indwell's Dairy Lofts project has been supported through the Provincial Social Services Relief Fund, in addition to Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative funding. So it's really good to see that the province is engaged on the housing files. This is a really exciting and fantastic example of adapting and updating existing infrastructure and giving it new life and purpose. The Social Services Relief Fund of the province, that funding has resulted in new and much needed affordable and supportive housing units being brought online through these lofts, these dairy lofts. You know, folks might have heard me say in the past, and it's certainly a values statement for me, housing is a human right. People cannot build a life without stable housing that meets their needs. So as mayor, I'm going to continue to prioritize the creation of affordable housing units such as this that allow Hamiltonians to be close to public transportation and other amenities, close to healthcare, hospitals, parks, grocery stores, pharmacies, as well as volunteer and employment opportunities. That's what building a life is all about, being engaged with the community on all possible levels. For 50 years, Indwell has been providing supportive housing that transforms lives, and we value the partnership that continues to grow between the City of Hamilton and Indwell, as well as the ongoing support from the Province of Ontario's Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, because it's you folks that really do bring these projects into reality. You're almost like you're almost like the final piece of the puzzle that allows people to live in these beautiful homes and build their lives. And it was music to my ears, Associate Minister Flack, when you mentioned the next time we're here, it will be a sod turning over there. As opposed to an announcement of units that have already been built, it will be a sod turning, and I look forward to that. Absolutely. I'm happy to have the minister here as well as Mr. Lumsden so that we can express that gratitude and encourage that investment to come. So I'm going to close by saying I am committed to continuing to champion an increase in housing options and ensuring every Hamiltonian has access to safe, affordable housing that meets their needs. And so, again, thank you to the provincial government for bringing forward initiatives to assist with the housing crisis in Hamilton and the housing crisis that other communities are facing. All I could say now is keep it coming. Keep it coming. Thanks very much. I'd like to introduce Councilor Nan, the Ward Councillor for Ward 3.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Associate Minister. Thank you, Minister. Thank you to our friends at Indwell and Sacagawea. You know, coming into the forecourt here at the Oaks is always a demonstration of thriving communities. And I'm really looking forward to turning sod with our provincial partners and our federal partners and as a city, just down in that corner to create even more housing for our community and houses, or families, my apologies. Investments into supportive housing are essential. They adequately address the compounding crisis facing our community here in Ward 3 and across the city and across the province. The crises of affordable housing and mental health that our neighbours face. Indwell's The Oaks project demonstrates how to foster belonging and well-being while providing exceptional quality, climate-friendly, and affordable housing. I remember being here back in 2018 with Graham Cubitt taking a tour of the site before anything happened. And one of the most heartbreaking stories was walking through and seeing how many people were making this a makeshift home. The ways in which we saw remnants of the ways in which folks had to desperately seek security and safety. The ways in which they were trying to make ends meet. The precarious nature by which they were meeting their own food insecurity, and how deplorable the conditions were that folks had no other choice but to turn to. And my friends who are all gathered here today, that story didn't disappear in 2018. That story exists in different parks and different communities across this city, across this province, and across this country. And so when we celebrate what is possible, when we all work together to align our strategies and investments, we have every right to celebrate the homes and the people who are thriving here. But it is also an ongoing call to action that we have much more to do, and I am so absolutely honored and privileged to do that work here in the City of Hamilton on behalf of the Ward 3 residents, but also to work in partnership with our housing providers and the provincial government and the federal government. We will not stop until our homes are thriving, and we will not stop until our communities are complete and until we have no more people waiting on our wait lists for housing and the supports that they need. Thank you all for bringing this dream to life, and I look forward to our continued work together. Thank you.
Thank you all for these warm comments, and it's always great to pause and celebrate, and it's worth celebrating. And I appreciate the sentiment from everyone today of a pause to celebrate and a call to action to continue moving forward to make sure that we end homelessness together. We're going to take some questions now from the media. So we have a microphone. If you're able, please share your name, the media that you're with, and who you're directing your question to. And I think questions are open to everyone at the front here.
Joey Coleman, questions for Neil Lumsden. 5 and 13 Lake Avenue South in Stony Creek, as you're aware, the city has now declared them surplus for affordable housing. They're zoned. What's your position on them, and what are you doing on that file?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking it. We're working together to try to solve a problem that's been identified today. And I know the people in Stony Creek have had a voice in some things, and as they should, as everyone has that right. But moving forward, I think it's a matter of getting it done and getting it done correctly, and I have confidence that that's what will happen.
By getting it done correctly, could you elaborate what you're looking for and your hoped for timeline on that file?
Well, I tell you, it's not my file personally, but because we work together on things, I'll wait to see what the plan will be, because I haven't seen that yet. So I'm not going to comment on what might be and what ifs. We'll let that progress properly.
Question for the Associate Minister. In your new bill on the Planning Act, you're exempting publicly funded post-secondary institutions from the Planning Act, which means that McMaster University here in Hamilton, as I read the legislation, has a free hand to develop lands that it either owns or that it enters into partnership with private corporations. How does that work, and will there be, say, Ontario regulations or guidelines for that?
Well, thank you. I guess the purpose of this bill 185 is to get shovels in the ground faster and to cut red tape. And the faster we can do that, and the better and more effective way we can do that is important. You know, the province is the second largest landholder, not only in Ontario to the federal government, but in all of Canada. And when we repurpose some of these lands, like we plan to do, we're going to get more shovels in the ground, more roofs over people's heads. So creating the environment for post-secondary education, such as MAC and others, to develop land. The student housing is crucial. I was at Beck Manufacturing this morning, and seeing the work they do would complement exactly what MAC needs to get student housing built affordably and to get them in at the right price. So I think this bill, again, cuts red tape, which I think anyone involved in government, and whether it's municipal, whether it's provincial or federal, realizes we can do, and that's what it's about, plain and simple.
So getting back to the question, as the legislation is written,
Yes.
it just says they're exempted from the Planning Act.
So the new provincial planning statement is coming out. Beware, watch, look, it'll be good. And again, it's going to complement universities and all institutions to get shovels in the ground faster.
And since I'm the only one here, I will take advantage of the chance to ask the mayor a question.
Oh, sure. Good morning, Joey.
Good morning. So, Madam Mayor, what are some of the priorities that you're articulating? Because obviously you have the minister here. I'm sure that you're talking to them. What was your message to him today, and what are the files that you want to see move forward by the provincial government?
Well, you got the rest of the afternoon to talk about all those things. So thank you for the question. Today, my priority was to just reinforce the housing crisis that we're in, and let folks know that they have a key role to play, and they know that already. That's part of why we're here this morning. But the need is growing, not shrinking. And so their presence is more needed than even a year ago, let's say. And so part of the message is we're doing everything we can. The community partners are doing everything that they can. We're working together as much as possible to be able to identify projects that can be realized as quickly as possible. And so my message to the ministers is the biggest presenting crisis that we have in our city that we need to address is housing affordability, and housing that meets people's needs. So I'm talking transitional and supportive housing. It's housing all the time, for particularly for this group of ministers, if you will. Yeah.
Thank you, Joey Coleman. Anybody else from the media? Any other questions? Then that will conclude our announcement here this morning. Thank you all for coming.